I'm Bill Graca. I am 33 years old. I'm a husband. I'm a father of 3 awesome kids. I work in Southeast Michigan, primarily in the Detroit area as a management consultant for a boutique consulting firm in strategy. I had a great upbringing as a kid. I had 2 wonderful, loving parents. Both were professionals. My mom was a physical therapist. My dad was an attorney by trade. My dad was actually first generation college student, so he taught me from a very young age that it was all about your work ethic, and that actually we had a little mantra in our family that was basically nobody will outwork us. Nobody's going to outwork a Graca. And so from a very young age, from the age of 4, 5, 6, it was really instilled in me as a core value that we as Gracas were gonna work hard, and so I sort of took that to heart. At the age when I was 14 years old, I got my first job. I worked in a grocery store when I was 14, and from there I basically was able to save up to get my first car, to go to university, to pay for both of my degrees so that I left without debt. And so I was able to get from a local university, Oakland University in Rochester Hills, Michigan, a 2 degrees. I got a bachelor's degree in business administration, and I got a master's degree in business administration as well. And from there, I was able to kind of pursue some really unique and what I would consider cool work experiences. So I was able to kind of go into consulting and then go into various roles at large companies, and now I'm back into the consulting space. But it really all started with kind of when I was very young, with my parents sort of instilling in me this idea that nobody was going to outwork me, and to really pursue unique experiences that would allow me to learn and sort of stretch my comfort zone and do unique things in life.
Ooh, nice shot.
I got into the Firmsconsulting content in 2013, and I really started by listening to podcasts and watching the consulting offer videos, the case preparation videos, and really reading articles. And honestly, I got into this fast, and I was ferocious about consuming this content. And the goal was that I want to make myself a better consultant, advisor. I just want to make myself a better person, to be honest. And I also wanted to learn the tricks of the best. And so I went into this content thinking that if it was good enough to train somebody to get into a top tier management consulting firm, McKinsey, Bain, Boston Consulting Group, that it was certainly good enough to teach me problem solving techniques, and it was certainly good enough to teach me how to be a better advisor and to catapult my career. And so I got into it, and I listened to podcasts. I particularly liked the ones that kind of talked about the consulting lifestyle, that talked about how to travel, how to run effective meetings, these types of things. I read the articles, every article, pretty much the day it was released. I was on it, reading it, marking it up, highlighting it, taking it to my wife and saying, "Can you believe this? This is what this article said about my profession." Made me proud to be an advisor, to be honest. And the consulting offer content, I really just ate that up. It was great content. It was teaching me problem-solving techniques. It was teaching me how to go to cases and really interpret cases. And for me, it was just a great way to say, listen, I'm learning the same tools and the same techniques that get people into big firms in my spare time. And it was awesome. I chose Firmsconsulting for a couple of reasons. First, I never really had any formal training in the role that I'm in. I work for a consulting firm. Never really had any formal training, and part of the reason that I chose Firmsconsulting is these are partners, ex-partners of really great top-tier consulting firms, and I really wanted to position myself to be able to learn from the best. And so that was part of the reason I chose Firmsconsulting is really just to be able to learn from the best.
It's about a product that's got emotional dimensions to it.
To learn how consulting really happens, and to learn how cases are really executed, and to learn how studies are really run from people who've done it before and done it for really top tier consulting firms. So I saw the content as like one of a kind from Firmsconsulting. I saw it as like explicitly unique, that this is a group of ex-partners and major firms that are teaching people how to do this. I saw this as an innovative set of content as well. I could not find another place, even back in 2013 when I started, when I got my first exposure to this content, I could not find another place that was this comprehensive, that was laying things out step by step, activity by activity, and being so detailed and so thorough and so training oriented and so user oriented. And so that was a lot of the motivation, is that I can't find it anywhere else. It was just unique. And then lastly, it was very easy to get engaged in this content. There were the way that the content was prepared and the way that the content was presented. It was easy for me to access it from, it is easy for me to access it from any device, anytime, no matter what I'm doing. And so that, for me, this is big. I was investing in my future. I was engaging in content that was prepared by people who have been there and done that. And I was able to do it wherever I was at, whether I was traveling, whether I was in the car driving around town, cutting the lawn, washing the dishes, that I had exposure to this top-notch content from top-notch partners, no matter where I was at. The quality of this content is just second to none. And as a Firmsconsulting client, I really feel important. I feel like the content is actually directly for me, written for me. It's almost as if that they understand kind of where I'm at that day, or where I'm at in my career at this very moment. And so I found that the quality of the content is great, and it just keeps getting better. I'm excited about some of the new things that have just launched recently. Being able to consume this content on my Apple TV, having a strategy training app that I can get podcasts and videos and things. I'm excited about the amount of video that's coming, and 4K high def video that's coming for this content. So I find that the quality is great, and the attention to detail is fantastic as well, and that's important to me. In my profession as a consultant, we have to pay close attention to detail, and I'm investing in my future, and I'm investing in this training material. And for me, the fact that the FC team just invests in making sure that every detail is covered off is fantastic. And I'm learning a ton of new stuff as well. I'm learning about how to run consulting engagements in ways that I've never known. I'm learning about how studies work. I'm learning about digital strategy. I'm learning about corporate strategy. I'm learning about the ins and outs of how those engagements work. And for me, it just keeps getting better. And I just keep getting something that, I'll listen to a podcast or I'll watch a video on a Friday, and by Monday, I can find a way to apply that to the work that I'm doing that week. And so to me, that's a sign of great content and high quality content. When I started getting exposure to the Firmsconsulting content in 2013, I was part of a new boutique consulting firm, no formal training. So it was up to me to sort of make my own training and pursue and be proactive in pursuing what I needed to be successful. So I went all in on the Firmsconsulting content, and in the last 4 years, this has really had a really profound impact on me as a person, but more importantly, how I work and how I think of my profession, and how I am passionate about making a difference in the world. And it's important to note. So, as an example, I just listened to the other day a video about purpose, about your purpose and what is your purpose, and how do you start to align your aspirations from a career perspective to the purpose that you have as a person. And I have to be honest, that was profound for me. That was just, it caused me to sit back, and it caused me to think about what is it that I want to do in this world. It helped me to reflect on what I've already done, and to be totally frank, it's challenged me to do more. And when I started using this content, I got extra doses of confidence. The way I conducted myself in meetings, the way I conducted myself with projects that I was working on was basically that if I knew how to solve problems, like the greatest problem solvers in the world, in my opinion, the people that work for top tier firms that have been trained specifically how to solve complex problems, if I knew that same thing, man, I could make a huge difference, and I could solve big problems. And I started to apply what I learned. I started to apply what I learned on special projects at work, or more importantly, I pursued special projects, strategy projects at my church. And so for me, what I've gained from this has been outstanding. And the confidence and the passion and the sense of purpose that has been reiterated in me and refreshed in me and sort of called out of me has been fantastic. And so that's the intangible kind of benefit that I'm getting from this material is I can make a difference. I can do great things, and I can solve complex problems in the same way that the best of them can.
They learn certain industries, and that's fine. But for me, consulting was all about the most interesting problems, the problems that were really.
So what's one word that describes what the content and what I've been exposed to through Firmsconsulting means to me? I mean, for me, that word is enlightening, and it's a strange word to pick, but here's why I pick it. I believe that in order to kind of be your best self, in order to really achieve your purpose, in order to just pursue your most ambitious aspirations as a person, that in order to do that, you have to have a light shown on, and you have to have exposure to new insights and new ways of thinking, and a light shown on things that you wouldn't have otherwise thought of. And so for me, that's what the Firmsconsulting content does. It's exposing me, it's enlightening me to new ways of thinking, new insights, new opportunities. It's really helping me think differently about what my purpose is. It's helping me think differently about who I am and how I advise, and it's really causing me to look hard at purpose, and look hard at opportunity, and look hard at ambition. And so for me, it's this word enlightening. It's really about exposing things for me that I would not have otherwise thought of, and really by digging into this content, and by really making it a priority, and by focusing on leveraging and sort of getting the maximum value out of your investment, it's enlightening, and it allows me to think differently about things, and allows me to be my best self. And that's important. That's important to me. That's important to my growth as a person. That's important to me as a father and a husband, and just as an individual. So being my best self and achieving, defining and achieving purpose is what it's all about. So I found this content really enlightening, and I appreciate it for that enlightenment.
All right, you ready?
Hey, watch out!
So how has Firmsconsulting kind of changed the way that I've looked at my career? Well, I think one way to kind of articulate a response to that is to basically say, I'm not done yet. And so I've certainly leveraged the content over the last 4 years to grow and to get proper training and to learn. But I'm not done yet. I've got some really substantial aspirations. I want to make a difference in the world. I want to be part of great change. I want to impact and influence change in the world. And so I'm not done yet. And that's a lot of why I continue to invest. And that's a lot of why I continue to engage, because it's not over. It's not over for Bill Graca. And, I haven't achieved everything from a career perspective. And I need content like this to continue to learn. I need content like this to continue to challenge how I view problems and how I solve and frame up solutions for meaningful problems. So I'm not done yet. And from a career perspective, this has been tremendously beneficial to me, building my confidence. It's really given me the confidence to know that I can basically frame and help solve the most complex problems, and I can do it as good as anybody else, maybe better. And that's key, and that's critical. And so I operate with a new level of confidence, and I have for the last 4 years since I've started to engage in this content. I deal with, on a regular basis. I get to go meet with people who are way more senior than I. They have much more complicated problems than I ever thought I'd be solving, and I can do it with confidence. And I credit the content that Firms Consulting has put out there, and I'm excited. I'm super excited for the next round of content and the next round of programs that are coming from the organization, because it's great, and it has made a huge impact on me. It's made a huge impact on how I view my purpose, and it's made a huge impact on how I solve problems. And so I'm very grateful for it. I can't say that there's one moment or just one most memorable moment that I point to in working with Firms Consulting, but I can point to some events that have made a huge impact in my life. So I came to realize that consulting, that what was being offered to me as content through Firms Consulting wasn't just consulting training, wasn't just problem solving training, it wasn't just case training. But it was actually tools that were valuable to life. And I remember a specific podcast that I listened to that was talking about how to fight fatigue. And it made me really think and made me really assess my life at the moment and think through, how was I fighting fatigue? How was I addressing stress in my life? Was I positioning myself to perform best? And I had to do an assessment after listening to the podcast, and had to really think through my life in that way, and had to make some changes, and had to apply what I had heard in that podcast in order to make some changes in my life to better manage stress, to better manage fatigue, to take better care of me so that I could be my best self. And so that's not a particularly memorable moment from a Firms Consulting perspective, but it was something that captured my attention and made me do something different with my life as a result of it. And so to me, that's the one thing that comes to mind is, captured my attention, caused me to do something different, forced me really to think about how to apply this in my life, and how to think differently about performance, and how I sleep, and how I eat, and how I take care of myself, which isn't consulting training. It's about life.
I need a white peanut. Wait.
I can't really point to one singular benefit that I've received as a result of having working with Firms Consulting, but I can say that it's really given me a different perspective on my career, my future, even my profession. What I've realized is that advising, consulting, solving problems, solving meaningful problems it's legitimate. It's a legitimate profession, and there's room for it. And what I've also realized is that I've got the skills to be able to do that. I've got the skills to be able to solve meaningful problems, and that there are a lot of problems out there to be solved. And so I've got some confidence today that I didn't have 4 years ago as a result of that. And so for me, the biggest benefit that I've really received from Firms Consulting is sort of this future view of the world. This is me knowing that I'm not done yet, me knowing that there are big problems out there that still need to be solved, me knowing that I can have a role in solving them. I can make a difference, and I can make a difference for the world that my kids are going to be living in. I can make a difference for the world that I live in. I can make a difference in the companies and the individuals that I have the opportunity to serve and work with on a day-to-day basis. And so for me, that's been the biggest benefit of Firmsconsulting. It's helping me realize that that's what I do. That's my profession. That's what I do. That's what I have the opportunity to wake up every morning and do. So it's been that's the biggest benefit, is sort of that viewpoint, that line of thinking, that perspective, that confidence, that long-term vision that I now have that I really didn't have 4 years ago. So if somebody was going to ask me, why should I do business with Firmsconsulting, I'd have a pretty simple response, because it is you get immediate return for your investment with Firmsconsulting. And I could think of two specific examples where I was able to benefit directly from the content that was available to me and get really immediate return in things that I was working on right at that moment. The first is I was asked to structure kind of my first engagement as an engagement manager. And I had no formal training. I didn't really know what to do. I didn't know how to structure an engagement. And the first thing I did was go back to the lab study that I had watched at Firmsconsulting. And that allowed me to kind of learn the ins and outs, the tips and tricks, the general process, and the general line of thinking for structuring an engagement. And so I was able to take that content and really immediately apply it to something that I was being asked to work on as part of my role. And it yielded immediate value for me. The other example I can think of is really just recently. I was starting up with a new client, an energy and utility company. And I had done a lot of work in automotive up until this point. So I understood the automotive value chain, and I understood sort of how automotive companies worked. But I really wasn't clear on the utilities value chain and what were the ins and outs of an energy and utility company. So again, what I did was go straight to the corporate transformation program that Firmsconsulting offered, which really was cast in a utility. And I learned in that early content what the utility value chain was, what the utility model was. I learned some of the nuances of utilities by listening to that content and by looking at those videos. And so I at the same time that I was coming up to speed with the client that I was working on, I was leveraging Firmsconsulting content to help me understand the value chain and the business model and sort of the ins and outs of the industry that I was working within, which was brand new to me at that time. So Firmsconsulting, the benefit to me has been the immediate return that I've gotten on the investment. I really view it as an investment in me, an investment in my career and my future, and it's yielded immediate return in my daily work, in my daily life. And it's allowed me to help others address problems, but it's allowed me to address some of the tasks and some of the issues that I've been working with on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. So the biggest piece of advice for Firmsconsulting members, a couple big pieces of advice that I can give. First, really maximize the value that you're getting out of your investment by engaging in the content. Really get serious about this. Take notes, listen to the content, follow it, engage in it, re-listen to it if it's got value to you. So really engage in the content. It's really important to follow this content the way that it's laid out chronologically. I believe that there's a reason that things are laid out step by step, and that studies are laid out step by steps, and consulting offer content is laid out step by step. And so follow it chronologically and make sure you're getting the maximum value from it by understanding how different pieces of content fit in sequence. And the second big piece of advice that I can give is learn and think of ways to apply it to what you're doing today, now. I found great ways to apply this content to what I'm doing at work, on the job, what I'm doing at church, what I'm doing for various things that I'm doing in the community. So I would say apply this content. Find ways to apply what you're learning, what insights you're getting about yourself and your career and your profession and how to solve problems. Apply it. And so I would say the two biggest pieces of advice that I can give to Firms Consulting members are engage in the content and apply the content. And I guarantee, just by personal experience, that the value that you get out of this will be tremendous. It will yield exponential returns in your career, in your personal life, and beyond.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Madison.
That's okay.
Okay. Whoa.
Mommy, you're a good mommy.
Thank you. Okay, what are you gonna pick with? Your right or your left?
Left.
Your left foot's better than your right foot?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So in the past few years, I've seen Bill become very confident in just the way that he's conducted himself professionally, the way that he's talked with his coworkers and his clients on the phone, the way that he's just interacted with them at a professional level. I've also seen just a huge amount of confidence in him when he's been at social events. Bill was pretty much a pretty strong introvert when we first started dating and our first few years of marriage, but I believe as he's become more confident in his role at his job and just with his studying and then his training, he's been just able to open up more, and he's been able to just conduct himself in a way where he brings a lot of wisdom and knowledge, but he's also very personal. So I've seen that when he's been working at his job, or if we're in social settings at our church, or just when we're around friends. He's someone that many people have turned to for wisdom and advice, and I believe because he just loves to be educated, he loves to study and always better himself, and he's just grown in so many ways that way, and it's just been very exciting and encouraging to see him grow over the past few years.
So would I recommend Firms Consulting? I think the answer is absolutely. And I mean, here's why. This is you investing in your future. This is you investing in your growth as an individual, as a human being. This is like an MBA or a doctorate of consulting, advising, problem solving. It's and it's you investing in yourself. And so would I make the investment again? Absolutely. Would I recommend anybody to make the investment in themselves? Absolutely. Am I convinced that this is the best material out there? 100%. And I say that because although I've never really met personally the partners at Firms Consulting, I have an inherent level of trust because of the quality of the content that's been developed, because of the way that it's delivered, because it keeps getting better and better and better. And so to me, it's hard not to trust an organization that continues to make great strides, great improvements, and just puts great stuff out there. And so would I recommend it? 100%, absolutely. I feel personally like it is my way of investing in myself. It's my way of continuously learning. It's my way of really preparing myself for the future. So it's fantastic, and it's highly recommended from my perspective.